Honestly, something's fucking wrong over at Linus Tech Tips. I can't. No, I would have been a Linus misinformation victim. These are cavemen just whacking at the technology and it run, I measure. It works, so I measure. You think I can spend like $800 more on this video? Copper's not gonna strip itself, brothers. If he'd reached out to Linus, Linus couldn't have said that because it didn't fucking happen. Why would you lie when you know it's not true? Hard R first. Alright, where's the hard R at? We just need to watch a classic lore video.
I've just sort of randomly here and there picked up episodes of, you know, old shows that I hadn't watched in a long time from like the early 2000s. And
I remember.
Just the casual, the casual sort of gay humor, casual use of the hard R.
I forgot. What fucking shows?
Oh, really?
It's jarring. And for
casual use of hard R.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, okay, it was an episode of American Dad. And it was just like, yeah, it wasn't for shock value. Like, I'm not gonna deny that I dropped my fair share of hard R's back then because we didn't.
I've seen this like 5 times. Why is it still funny?
The term hard R didn't even exist. We didn't think about it.
Are you talking like N-word hard R?
What? No.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that's how people use that term.
No.
I think
that's
so.
That's the N-word. What are you guys talking about?
This is old, by the way. This isn't the current thing. We're just revisiting this because it's funny.
No, the one with the
this was just a goof.
Like, mental disability.
I'm pretty sure people use hard R in a very different way than you just used it.
Oh. Okay, either
hard
way.
R means ending
I understand.
the N-word
I
with
understand.
a hard R.
I understand what you mean. No, I'm not talking about that. Okay, cool.
But if retard was hard R, what's normal R? Wait, why would retard be hard R? As opposed to what? Letard. Anyway, it's time to see if it is interesting to look at. Gamers Nexus has made a video entitled The Problem with Linus Tech Tips, Accuracy, Ethics, and Responsibility. Let's see if this is interesting. This sounds like it could be right up my alley, but there's always a chance that we start watching it and he gets into hyper. What if we start watching it and he's just like, actually, he said it was 0.0001 cycles faster, when actually it was 0.001 cycles faster. If it's like that, we leave. If it's juicy, we watch. Is Linus holding a brick of bronze in his hand in that thumbnail? What's he doing? Does he have like a white glove and he's glove and he's holding a brick of bronze? This is a very Chad move. In the thumbnail, the guy whose channel it is has like a shot of himself looking a little bit derp-faced, and then Linus has an intense but regular expression. That's kind of a power move, doing your own face looking a bit goofy.
A few days ago, this clip from an LTT lab tour got a lot of attention online.
The difference between us and somebody like Gamers Nexus or Hardware Unboxed is we test new components, new tests every time.
And then Hardware Unboxed tweeted dissatisfaction.
Is this personal? They took shots at him and he fired back with this. This is gonna have claws.
We didn't say anything at all, anywhere. Even though it's not actually true, they don't collect new data and new tests every single time, and it's not always necessary anyway. So when Linus went on the WAN show, we hadn't gotten involved. Linus responded to Hardware Unboxed on the WAN show and then said the following.
Not everyone in the creator space handled that super professionally. I don't think that it's particularly journalistic, for example, to ignore facts, to ignore personal relationships.
It is my job to ignore personal relationships. If LMG is going to make false accusations and wants to try and use personal relationships to gain favor so that we don't cover something we think is not okay, it's not going to work with us. We don't play that game.
The presentation is fucking damaging my brain. Is this guy too smart for me? It just goes too fast. I feel like maybe I'm missing context. Let me see what Linus said again.
think that it's particular.
So presumably this guy covered something that Linus didn't want him to. And Linus is saying it's unprofessional for him to ignore the personal relationship. When obviously, as this guy's saying, you should ignore a personal relationship to cover things.
It itself isn't worth commenting on. We have something wider in scope we want to comment on, and it's simply that we believe LTT or LMG is rushing too much to hit arbitrary and largely self-imposed deadlines that are causing frequent and sometimes significant data errors and information errors. And this conflicts with the ramping marketing surrounding accuracy and data-driven objective reviews that they're pushing for from LTT Labs. So
they're pumping up output. They're bragging about accuracy, but accuracy is actually going by the wayside, or at least decreasing, because they're rushing to pump stuff out. Yes?
we're just going to report on serious concerns that we have with LTT and bring some awareness to these critical issues. We have a few main points of discussion for today. They span from raw data that potentially misleads consumers, even if unintentional, accidental, that counts too. And we have...
Oh my God. I'm going to put a gun on my wish list. The dogs have to go. The dogs have to go.
Some ethical concerns and corporate connections that we want to talk about, including great ethical concerns regarding LTT's inaccurate testing and misrepresentation of a small company's prototype, followed by the auctioning off of that prototype, despite the company wanting it back for other media and not granting permission for the auction. Also,
that is the juicy one. That's what I want.
So, we're concerned about ethics issues regarding LMG's recent review of the Pwnage mouse, where they failed to notice that there was protective tape over the Teflon feet to...
Oh, that's what you meant? Like the factory fresh cover? Your shit's all... If you review peripherals regularly and you don't catch fucking tape over Teflon, everything you've ever said comes into question instantly. Instantly. Everything you have ever said is... No, fuck off. I'm hyper autistic about peripherals, but I think even if you're not, if you've ever had a new mouse with that stuff on and you've ever put it on a mouse pad, it feels horrible. It feels horrible.
Followed up by a pseudo correction wherein LMG fails to take full ownership of its mistake and instead blames...
As some feedback to Pwnage, they need to make it much more clear to their end users that the film is present, as it does not have any pull tabs and is transparent, providing very little indication that it's there unless you know to look for it. It would be nice. It would be nice to have pull tabs, but it still should be pretty obvious, especially to someone who's should have some small degree of expertise at least.
And we know these issues at LTT in terms of the rushing, the pushing employees and staff to hit deadlines despite concerns with the data or the collection of the data. We know that these come from top down, as shown in a recent LTT interview that it conducted with its own employees, where many of them stated concerns with content quality pertaining to restrictive time constraints.
Let's publish less videos.
I wish we could back off the amount and focus on quality for a bit.
Wait! They publish this themselves? Their own employees talking about being squeezed to push stuff out that's subpar? Whoa! Is the strategy that people will value transparency more than they dislike hearing our content's going to shit because we're overworked and pushed too hard to get stuff out too fast? Was the calculation people will value the transparency enough that putting this up is fine? What the hell? He is an alien. Whoever said Linus is an insane alien, you're correct.
More time for projects would be good.
Just allow us more time to work on a video.
We never have time for retrospection. It's always just, that's out. What's the next thing?
That one isn't the same, but also that is Linus. So
I don't love that we have to release so many videos. I don't know what our current count is weekly, but I know it's very high. Very rarely am I particularly proud of a video I've worked on.
And Linus's own comments recently reinforced that the company is still weighing carefully the impact of spending another half day of work on something to get it right, rather than just shoving it out the door incomplete or potentially wrong.
but it was designed for a 3090 Ti. Well, we went for gold and we tried it with a 4090. The temperature results were bad. It was clear that it wasn't making perfect contact, and so Adam was the writer on that project. What Adam asked is if we could spend more time, put the 3090 Ti on it, and get real results. And what I told him was no, because, and guys, come on, like, for real, okay? It's $800 US. I don't know, guys. I'm not sure if I can apologize for not spending another $100, $200, $300, $500 of various people's time.
And that's an important indicator of mindset that comes from ownership of the company. They are rushing, and this rush is causing significant and frequent testing errors, but more importantly, it is clouding their ethical judgment.
And what I told him was no.
They are choosing to publish sometimes known bad or known incorrectly acquired data.
Yeah, I feel like if he was like, we didn't put this out because we're not going to spend on doing it properly, that'd be one thing. Not we put out our flubbed shit that we fucked around with and used the wrong hardware for because we don't want to spend more. No, if you're not going to do it right after that, when people are saying, can we do it right? You don't publish it, right? You can save, you can avoid losing more money by not publishing and not doing the thing. You can't publish and not do it, right? What the fuck? Which means you're not going to make money back. You're not going to make money from the video, but like you can't long term, especially if someone like Gamers Nexus comes along and like shoves it in people's faces, it's going to hurt you potentially to the tune of more dollars than you would have spent doing it right.
And so given the knowledge of a lack of qualifications when known unqualified or the intentional forfeiture of quality and accuracy for quantity instead, it calls into question the motivations of the corporation and does in fact make it look to be bottom line centric. This is to hit arbitrary self-imposed deadlines.
Yo, I love this guy. I was finding it hard to follow, but he's just, just imagine watching a video where someone provides an example of something and then they say what that's an example of. Where their example supports their point. Holy shit. Linus saying, no, I'm not spending more. Pump it out. And then this guy talks about how all their decisions seem to be bottom line centric. It just lines up. It's that easy. Please, more people. It's that easy.
Whose end result is misleading for consumers, and at some point, it is no longer an unintentional mistake to mislead those consumers, such as with known shortcuts that reduce the accuracy of the content. We know some people won't like this video, and those people will leave comments enraged.
Minus 10 points, never say this. In my opinion, my humble opinion as a small boy creator, just never say this.
Citing drama as some sort of catch-all platitude to discourage this desperately needed conversation. It's their way of emoting, I'm uncomfortable. And I agree with you. This is a very uncomfortable video for me to make. I haven't enjoyed the process of it, but this is something we feel is desperately needed, otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. And it is not simply drama to talk about errors and factual testing issues.
Okay, this is probably wise. Just say this part. There's this weird thing with masses of people where if you preempt what they're going to say, it really will heavily stem the flow of people saying, this is, if you can predict and you think people are going to say, this is just drama, you're just doing drama. If you say this is not drama because XYZ, it actually does stem it. So it is smart to have this bit if he's concerned. If he's concerned about people taking it seriously because he cares about people taking it seriously because he thinks it's important that they're aware they've been misled or prevent them from being misled or make them aware of how they might have been or might be misled, then yeah, you know what? Never mind, fair point.
We are approaching this as objectively as possible, and we ask that you listen to the concerns we are raising and the evidence that we are presenting, because ultimately, if Linus Media Group wants to be consumer first, then it too should want this level of transparency and should want this knowledge of the issues we are presenting today.
Diplomatic. Carries the implication that they aren't thinking or aren't aware of the degree to which what they're doing is scuffed. Obviously they know, but just the tiniest cushioning, just a little elastoplast for Linus Tech Tips.
The company is now over 120 people. It recently had an acquisition offer at $100 million. It's helmed by a new CEO whose past includes a career in director positions at companies like Dell and Corsair. Its lab is led by a former marketing director for Asus, which was recently the title sponsor for LTX following what we believe to be a rather soft-handed handling of Asus's board and RMA issues by LTT. LMG is a big company now. It has the resources to do better, and it should be treated as such.
That's like, even if they didn't have those resources now, I mean, it's not like I don't have the resources to do it right, so it's okay to pump out bullshit. You can still, even if that hadn't happened and they didn't have that money behind them, you can still say either do it right or don't do it.
Okay, with that stance clear, we're jumping into two key categories here: bad data and misinformation. Bad data is testing which is incorrect or erroneous. Misinformation is miscited specifications, for example, or doubling down on flawed testing and reporting on conclusions as if it reflects proper testing when, in fact, it has been shown not to. LMG is still consistently making errors in nearly every single review that they publish.
Right.
It is okay to make errors. All of us do this in this line of work, but the concern we have is that these types of errors are in nearly every single LTT technical or review type of video. So there are enough errors that we can't fit them all into a normal length video. We'll cover a few of them as fast as we can to establish the premise and the concerns, and everything is from the last year only.
That's
later.
smart. Keep it recent so they can't say, and make it clear that you're trying to keep it recent so they can't say about any. They can't just do a big hand wave and go, oh, much of that was in the past, it's changed. Good move, bro.
Let's start with the entire 40 series. LTT's 40 series reviews started with the RTX 4090, which debuted with multiple erroneous charts, but one in particular was heavily written into the conclusion of the card. That chart was for Cyberpunk, where LTT allowed to slip past them an outlier with the 4090 outperforming the 3090 Ti by 300%. In reality, that should be closer to 72 to 75%. We explained this previously, but that's because LTT didn't properly set their test parameters and double-check that the graphic settings weren't changing due to other dependencies during test setup.
That sounds, I'm not a techman, that sounds pretty nuclear bad. That sounds like someone who is savvy at all should look at that and go, no, that's wrong. Like, not a subtle slip. Like, that's fucking wrong. Like, the level of, there's a row of colors that go red, blue, green written underneath, and the blue one has fucking orange on top of it.
This is a massive human error, and it is indicative of poor process control. No amount of blaming the video game or blaming how its settings behave is going to get you off the hook for this. It's simply human error. That anyone could then look at this chart and think it makes any sense further indicates poor understanding of the data collected. Most of the rest of their own data was relatively consistent, so there should have been clear indicators that this was wrong.
It wasn't even wrong across the board.
Only one they originally corrected in their comment, this wasn't LTT's only error, and that's a separate concern, because it comes across as burying just how many errors there truly were by only acknowledging the obvious one or not being aware of them. Both are bad.
True.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider from that same review was even more bizarre, with the 3090 Ti outperforming the 3090 by 61%. It should be closer to 13% maximally.
Yeah.
Once again, there's a lack of basic attention to detail, maybe even knowledge, to identify such massive errors. Moving to automation makes this even more dangerous, because now you need the skill to identify flaws through numbers alone without even looking at the screen.
And presumably they're doing a lot more of it's going to be automated. I'm getting just implications.
Acknowledge this mistake. This should have triggered deletion of the video basically immediately when they confirmed it was erroneous. Probably a community post on YouTube, a Twitter post, and a timeline for a fixed video with corrections. But LTT waited days to fix it, and they eventually posted a comment, but they didn't even pin it until people in the community started.
They posted a correction and didn't even pin it? That isn't slipping up. That is like sweep it under the carpet. That is, I want to be able to technically say we did it. That is technically we did it. Technically we did it.
That comment that was posted also didn't disclose all the errors, just the lowest hanging fruit of them, which is Cyberpunk. And eventually they replaced the entire video.
Honestly, something's fucking wrong over at Linus Tech Tips. I can't. No, I'm immediately suspicious that something corrupt is happening. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. Or has happened or happens. Some intern blinking twice for... No, I think it's just sneaky. That's my gut feeling. This is just a gut feeling because of how I wouldn't, like, I don't know, Siffy, but I feel... Let me put it this way. I think this is so severe that it creates an appearance of impropriety. There's no specific information of what might be happening behind the scenes. However, it is so scuffed and is so sneaky and dealt with in such a poor way, even in this one example, that it makes me think there's got to be... It feels like there's an external influence or something.
They didn't delete it. There's a YouTube feature that we don't have, most YouTube creators don't have, where they can swap it in place. So they did that, but only after over 1 million people saw it. We don't believe there was enough active outreach to get in front of this bad data and alert those 1 million plus people that their purchasing decisions may need to be reevaluated if that data influenced those decisions. Probably there should have been a recall of the content. If you're curious how we handle these issues, we have a published set of guidelines that we follow. It is our process and our
That's really good. That's really good if you're trying to be a high-level tech reviewer, performance tester, whatever. This seems like just really good standards to keep. Yeah. Wait, is this not standard for these high-level channels?
But one of the other pieces was this chart, where an A750 is shown to be better than an RTX 4060 Ti with ray tracing on, which no other public data seems to support, including our own.
Okay, maybe they're just fuck-ups then. Maybe it is just a fuck-up then. If there was any pattern of it favoring, like, you know, the latest NVIDIA stuff by a large degree, it would be like, bro, this just seems so comical.
They didn't even catch this one. This is another one of the ones that I caught. In their 4060 review, we noticed that their GTX 1060 gains 20% more performance than shown in their 7600 review. That's definitely not from a driver change with a card this old, and nothing else in those charts really moved, so it shouldn't be from a methodological change either. In the 4060 Ti review, they think that memory sharing between the GPU and system memory isn't a thing without rebar, which is just straight misinformation.
I'll just trust this guy on that. I don't know what that is.
More recently in June, LTT published its RTX 4060 review with an incorrect lane count in the spec sheet. They listed it as by 16 when it's actually by 8. In May before this, LTT previously made the same exact mistake with its RTX 4060 Ti review.
Let's go to another category to see if it's hype. I think we skip ahead. This techie stuff, I get it. What are asterisked errors? Do you got... Well... Here's the problem. I don't have much to say about the, like, nitpicky... Not even nitpicky, because... Nitpicky's the wrong word because the errors were so egregious. It's good shit. You think it's worth... We'll see. But if I end up being like, I just have to be quiet because I don't know what's happening...
Had a number of errors that...
Yeah, absolutely, troll potato. I would have been a Linus misinformation victim. I would have been an absolute Linus misinformation victim. Because here's the thing. If I was looking at cards... I was like, man, is the 4090 worth it? On the back of what I thought Linus's reputation was, I'd see that insane spike and maybe, like, insane performance difference and think maybe, damn, I guess it super is worth it. I'm going to feel like I'm behind the times if I don't get that one because it's like 4 times the performance.
This particular chart gives away one of the major problems because it illustrates inconsistency between LMG's own testing. In this chart, LMG has the NHD15 from Noctua in red and green, the top 2 bars, and then it has the Peerless Assassin in blue and an orange. Notice that for each result, the D15 is consistently a few degrees better than the Peerless Assassin in LMG's testing. This isn't the problem. The problem is that LTT's own data is inconsistent when you look at the 7700X. Suddenly, we go from a couple of degrees advantage for the D15 over the Peerless Assassin to 10 degrees advantage for the Peerless Assassin. There is absolutely no way with...
True. Okay. When you put it like that, that does look pretty crazy.
These CPUs, that these results can deviate this much without error in the testing process. That this chart can get past someone and not trigger a...
Like, I see all these lines and I get blown away, but then this guy's great. This guy's great. He throws something in my face and I'm like, what the fuck? And then when he explains what the problem is, suddenly I can see. I don't even see the lines anymore. I just see a woman in a red dress. This guy rules. So far, this guy seems to absolutely be great. I think I'll probably check through his channel and look if there's anything interesting there. If it's all tech, maybe not. But if I ever need to look up something about tech, maybe I'll check if this guy's covered it. Because he seems... Would the people who are familiar with him say it's correct to say he has pride in what he does? That's what I'm getting from him, which I think is very valuable, because someone who has pride in what they do, they'll have this like burning need to make sure shit is right. And that's what I'd value in something like this. A channel that's going to give me info.
Removal of that data entry or a significant attempt to try and explain what happened indicates to us that LMG presently lacks the qualifications to conduct proper cooler reviews. There is no reason for a sudden surprise 10-degree delta to favor the cooler that was losing in every other test. LTT refers to the frequency reduction of 300 megahertz in one test as, quote, not enough to affect real-world performance, when actually that's basically reducing a 13900K to a lesser CPU like a 137. That is a huge difference. So the ability to judge the data itself, once again, is suspect and concerning.
I have no idea if that's true or not, but damn, if that's true, Linus's shit is whack.
LTT shows a 280mm liquid cooler as worse than a downdraft cooler, then
that sounds like copium, if they're trying to I don't know.
Blames it on NZXT's software. We are not able to replicate this result. They state NZXT runs in, quote, silent mode by default, which still wouldn't reduce it to worse than a stock cooler. And additionally, if it runs in silent mode at all, that means there are methodological flaws where they are not properly controlling fan and pump speeds for this testing, and it's not proper to just blame the product because you don't want to control your test environment and you don't want to use it the way it's designed.
These guys sound like me trying to play an old game, but I'm just trying to make shit function. I'm not testing its performance against other things. These are cavemen just whacking at the technology and it run, I measure. It works, so I measure.
This point alone calls all data into all of these charts into question, and it doesn't even look like they're controlling the frequencies and voltages properly. The surface area calculation is incorrect. I made that mistake many years ago, so I get this one.
Oh, that's gotta sting. I bet you, Linus, watched this video, and at this point, when the Gamers Nexus guy said, I made this mistake many years ago, he winced. He was like...
LTT says that Noctua's D15 can take, quote, anything you throw at it, and that, quote, just doesn't lose. Then they say they use it on all of their internal test benches for reviews. Then they show it thermal throttling and Cinebench testing, seemingly without realizing it, or at least without mentioning it. That it can get this close to TJ Maxx at all should immediately eliminate it from use in test benches, where you want to see how the base product performs without external variables. We're a bit baffled by how huge the endorsement was for the Noctua NHD15 given their own data, but Noctua has close ties with LTT, so that may
he's just dropping it. I like it.
We're a bit baffled by how huge the endorsement was for the Noctua NHD15 given their own...
Yeah, lower is better. These are temps, right? Yeah.
Data, but Noctua has close ties with LTT, so that may subconsciously be influencing the interpretation.
That sounds sarcastic. That might be subconsciously influencing. Yeah, subconsciously, yes. Okay, subconsciously. Nice. Do you think he's genuinely being that charitable, or does he mean for it to come across as sarcastic?
And even if it's not, it's still unfair to Noctua because now it's calling into question a positive comment because of those ties. That's why
True! Should always avoid the appearance of impropriety. True.
Cuts both ways when you have a conflict this deep. It's not just advertising anymore. Moving on from coolers. Last month, LTT published a labs video where they got the model of the power supply they were reviewing wrong.
Would it be too much of a reach? Is it too much of a reach to say, like, bad info about power supplies could potentially be dangerous? I guess I'll watch this guy, he's the expert. He'll say if that's relevant. Power supplies scare me, which is why I'm asking.
TakeSmart 80 Plus and the Thermaltake Smart BM2, which are drastically different power supplies with different quality levels. They also mixed up the 80 Plus 115 volt and 230 volt markers on the graphs which have different requirements for the efficiency percentage at a given load. This is something they caught after publishing, so that much is good. Pinning a correction is the right move, and they haven't always immediately done that, like we saw with the 4090 review. So that's an improvement, but they need to at least get these basic attention to detail items right. This isn't even the hard part. Besides, if you can't get this much right, then as Linus himself says,
And doing them halfway is basically meaningless.
while we're on the topic
Oh, brother, he came in with the chair. He swam across the internet, picked up the folding chair, and hit him with it. Jesus Christ, I didn't expect this to be that intense.
but they should be more focused on producing their own numbers. That is, if they trust their own numbers.
AMD had every opportunity to contest our findings.
That's pretty rough as
but
well.
when we showed them our results, they basically went, yeah, seems okay.
That's because it is okay. If you're trying to nail the exact differences down to a single % of a first-party claim, then you aren't providing any value as a third-party reviewer. AMD might as well publish its own review. It's not weird at all to have a few percentage points different, or even upwards of 30%. They make the thing. They're going to test it in ways that benefit them. Then they said this.
So with nothing else to go on, if we had launched that review, we would have been the only outlet with a broadly negative take on this chip.
Which
Wait, they didn't launch it? Wait, what?
is also just weird, because they shouldn't be worried about what everyone else is saying in a popularity contest. They should be worried about reporting the truth of their own findings, and then trying to explain them if they're different. LTT.
Wait, did they fucking spike a review? Spike means, take out a queue to be published. Just kill it, don't publish it. Because it would be negative? Why would he say they did that? That's mind-shatteringly... I don't even know. Is it just stupid? It's like he's going out of his way to make it look like something rotten is happening. Or that they are just rotten.
He noted in its email to AMD, which they show briefly on the screen, that part of their stability, quote, problem was enabling Expo without increasing VDIM, except it is normal that higher clocks and memory won't be stable without higher VDIM, VDD, and VDDQ. That's not anything unexpected, nor is it
Yeah, if he'd framed it very carefully as we weren't confident in our results because they were so different to other people. But then this Gamers Nexus guy this Gamers Nexus guy became a ghost and went into the past and pre-countered alternate reality Linus. Because this guy pointed out that, yeah, that performance seems in line with what you might get. That doesn't seem fucked. They shouldn't have thought it was fucked.
AMD's fault, nor is it new. The AMD made a GSA menu for OC and BIOS worked at this time and is what should have been used to avoid these pitfalls, as it would auto-apply. That test processes do not account for this, check for this early, and just blindly trust whatever it is the motherboard manufacturer menu is doing.
Censor, this is good shit. This Gamers Nexus guy is right before our eyes, knifing Linus tech tips to death. Yeah, they all look scraped as hell. Like, did they run like screwdrivers across them?
The next brief section is for asterisk errors are added during productions. That's after filming and before publishing. You can't do text on the screen anymore in YouTube after you upload, so all of this is done before the upload, which means that when doing an asterisk correction, a creator is aware of that correction. However, these have to be used carefully because most people won't read them. They might just listen to the video or kind of tune it out. So these shouldn't be used for undoing criticism that was unfair. This past week, Linus Tech Tips showed an all Alienware setup with some asterisked errors.
Just really good point. You listen to it, you'll hear him shit on it. You have it in the background while you're gaming. You absorb the criticism. You never see the correction. All right.
In one instance, LTT states that the keys have, quote, stickers.
Curiously.
Share the link. Sure. Yeah. Everyone who's watching this and is impressed by this guy and likes this video, please, we're only a small number. This video literally has millions of views, but give them your likes, brothers. Give them your likes. Regardless, every little counts.
Cheap printing on some of the keycaps.
Actually, it's double shot PBT.
Yeah, they're double shot except where they put stickers on them.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yikes.
Wait,
and expresses disappointment. But
yeah, they're double shot except where they put stickers on them.
Oh my god.
Stickers are printed on the keycap. What stickers? What do you mean?
Gosh, yeah.
Yikes.
and expresses disappointment.
So they're double shot. The numbers are double shot, and then the text is printed.
But the editors add a note that says, not stickers, immediately dismissing, apparently, the disappointment. In another asterisk correction, LTT states...
Okay, a double shot keycap is like You squirt in the plastic, and then you squirt in another plastic. And the second plastic is like a different color and can be used to go into gaps in the first squirt to act as the print on the outside would, right? So it's not, so it doesn't have stuff printed onto it. It's like a 2 squirt of plastic process. That's what a double shot keycap is, right? Am I insane? I'm not explaining it well. I would say this is probably the most minor example, because even if it isn't a sticker, it being printed on the outside when they're meant to be, when they're double shot keycaps, if they then just print some of the stuff on the outside of the cap, that is a negative. I would say that is a negative. And I don't think it not being a sticker assuages that disappointment. However, yeah, it is true that the annotation won't correct it. I think this you can let slide, this example. It's the only one so far. Yeah, it's not a sticker. It is a correction, but it's a correction that I don't think they needed to kill the video over. Fundamental misunderstanding of the tech. If what we're concerned about is people being misled by a negative comment, I think, okay, look, yeah, if they want to be cutting edge and they're bragging about accuracy, yes. It is the most minor thing so far, though. True. Yeah, okay, Wildfang, I can 100% agree with that. Just voiceover. Just fix it.
And a 4070 Ti, meaning we should be able to get some pretty good gaming performance out of this thing.
But the editors add an asterisk that says not TI. For hard...
Oh, yeah, true. Sorry. I was thinking in terms of like they caught it and then put the annotation on later. But Gamers Nexus explained you can't do that anymore. So before the video was up and available, they knew the mistake was there. So yeah. They didn't fix it later. This was when it was uploading, yeah? So yeah. Take it back. They should have fixed it.
Criticisms that are stated by the host or the reviewer, like the keycaps example,
Yikes.
serves no value or purpose to come to a wrong conclusion and then put an asterisk to correct it later. You either cut it or you correct it in video. And going back to those interviews,
my brain flipped what he said and I was thinking, oh, the correction had to be later. No, the correction was before it went up. So yeah, fix it.
we think they're doing these corrections because they're moving so fast that they won't budget the time to go back and properly correct something, like with the new voiceover line.
I wish we could back off the amount and focus on quality.
When it's clearly entertainment, that's fine. But if you're going to start
that guy saying, I wish we could, that's more emotion than I've heard in like movies where people have had their family killed and they're trying to survive. That guy is suffering under Linus.
Scrutinizing something, it needs to be treated with care, entertainer or not. Last week, LMG's Tech Quickie channel covered large language model hardware, and within the 4-minute, 45-second video, they had an on-screen text correction from 312 teraflops to 624 teraflops, a big difference. Then they had a related correction later. This is an extremely short video. To retake 2 sentences just for audio would have taken a few minutes to send the host down to the studio. This reinforces our thesis statement that LTT is rushing its content and is pressured to maintain such high throughput.
Evidence, relevant evidence. Holy shit, bro, this guy rules.
That it can't slow down even for a single sentence to be reread properly, or that it is unwilling to pay for content to be accurate as long as it fulfills a good enough bar. And don't be fooled by LMG. They internally set the standard to upload at the frequency they do. It is therefore a willful decision to forego quality in order to hit the standards that they're setting. 5.
Good preemptive counter. Good preemptive counter to people commenting, well, it's the ecosystem. They have to keep up like that. Good preemptive counter message.
More minutes is 5 minutes too many to get it completely right, and that'd cost money. It'd be one thing if they didn't realize this until after publishing, but realizing 2 mistakes within under 5 minutes of video prior to publishing should indicate a proper correction.
The prior to publishing part, yeah. Although with mistakes that big, even if it was post-publishing, yeah, kill it, take it down.
In April, LMG published a short circuit video that was paid for by ASUS featuring the ASUS 4070 Dual. The problem isn't the part where they refer to a $600 GPU as a, quote, budget card and then thank ASUS for gracing us with the presence of a $1 backplate.
Sorry, wait, what?
A, quote, budget prior to publishing should indicate a
Sorry, what?
correction.
Sorry, I was reading chat and trying to focus on the video at the same time. I need to watch this again.
In April, LMG published a short circuit video that was paid for by Asus featuring the Asus 4070 Dual. The problem isn't the part where they referred to a $600 GPU as a, quote, budget card and then thank Asus for gracing us with the presence of a $1 backplate.
It's got an aluminum backplate, which is really nice to see on a budget card like this.
Or the clearly biased language where they give a manufacturer a blanket statement for always being good.
It's an Asus card, so it's going to perform great.
But rather the
Imagine your credibility as a sausage. Imagine credibility as a sausage. With that comment, he just grabbed his sausage and cut off like a third of it and just said, Asus can have it.
problem is the simple correction for a misstatement on the amount of HDMI and display ports available.
3 DisplayPort, 2 HDMI on the Dual.
They could have just cut around this. We're not sure why they left it in. And all of these post-shoot, pre-publishing corrections bring us to the next set of concerns, which is an increasing amount of irresponsible actions and conflicts that we've seen emerging from Linus Tech Tips.
This is the big You thought this stuff so far was juicy? Ethical concerns, irresponsible actions, and conflicts. He's been edging us. He got like a toothpick and he stuck it into the orange. This video is an orange and he poked a couple of holes and let it slowly drip onto us. This is where he starts squeezing the orange and the juice is gonna run down into our mouths. Get ready, brothers.
To their corporate connections, their flow of money, and the potential bias as a result of those things.
Shit.
And we've been looking into this, maybe more of a future video thing, but...
And there could be an entire video on this topic. Holy shit.
We don't really see any other options here. It is either too rushed to the point of potentially producing harmful information to viewers and to consumers that they then act on, and to manufacturers alike, or the company is unqualified to produce that information. It's really one or the other. This one talks about the ethics and power of a review outlet and therefore its responsibility to do due diligence on a product.
I'm sorry.
One or the other. This one talks about the ethics and power of a review outlet and therefore its responsibility to do due diligence on a product. On June 24th, LTT published a video about a copper water block made by a small company called Billet Labs, founded just last year.
This is a big boy section, boys. This is a big boy section.
LTT took one of the company's first prototypes to test, valued in the thousands of dollars for manufacturing, not counting opportunity value. In the video, the LTT team stuck this special 3090 Ti water block on an RTX 4090.
If this wasn't a 3090 Ti, then we don't have another 3090 Ti that we can take apart.
How the hell did we not know what GPU this thing was?
I thought it was a 3090 Ti.
So we just casually had a 4090 sitting on the shelf, clearly labeled?
Stating that it should work, despite it not being explicitly compatible. The company...
That's fucked. This is clown college. No.
Did not tell LMG that it would be 4090 compatible. They told LMG that they could try to use a 4090, but Billet Labs itself had not tested one as it didn't have a 4090 at the time. Water blocks have very specific tolerances and clearances for components, so any misalignment would cause poor contact to the GPU core. LMG decided to try it and continued with the video despite misrepresenting the product massively by using it on an incompatible device that it literally would not fit properly. LTT's presentation goes down the path of being irresponsible, presenting the product as much more difficult to work with than it would be if used properly. The conclusion is...
Like, it's a cool product, but it's a bad product.
It looks great.
Yeah, it looks super cool.
Are you just saying it's...
Bros who don't know, just fucking wait. Just fucking wait.
bad
I don't think
just purely because of the price?
It's bad because it makes absolutely no sense and nobody should buy it.
This guy is a bitch. I hate Linus. He's saying that just in order to be able to make it look like, oh, it doesn't matter that we're clowns and we fucked up. It's conceptually bad. So actually our test doesn't matter because it's bad. It is an ontologically bad device. Our test is irrelevant. It would have just been a courtesy to test it.
Most of the community is actually really amazing. But there's a vocal minority that looks at something like that and goes, lazy, out of touch, whatever else. No, I'm just really experienced at this.
Ontologically evil product. I don't even care if that's not proper use of describing something as being ontologically something. So good.
No, I'm just really experienced at this.
I'm really experienced at this. Ah! My skin!
Get a shot
My
of that. Look at
bones!
that.
It founds this conclusion on the basis of improper installation. This serves no one. It needlessly harms a small company, and this kind of behavior can kill someone's life work in a heartbeat, and it'd be based on invalid testing and presentation. One of the company founders
Kill
posted
someone's
below
life?
the video and stated this, quote, "We love LTT, but it was difficult to watch their criticisms when pretty much every design issue that Linus raised was done for a reason which was all explained to Adam weeks ago, none of which, I guess, was fed back to Linus. We also sent a full instruction manual that seemingly wasn't used.
They liked the initial comment. Oh.
I think there's definitely been a major communication breakdown along the video pipeline. We assumed we'd have a chance to answer any problems that were raised and explain them before it being publicly misrepresented."
Bros, just fucking wait. This gets anyone who doesn't know the twist, your brain is gonna shatter soon.
And I also get not wanting to retest, but I do think probably just testing it with the thing that they knew it worked with in the first place probably would have made sense. Because like you're saying,
That guy was scared to say that. Did you taste the fear? He's scared Linus is going to throw the hard R at him. He's scared he's going to start breaking out the hard R again.
test result itself doesn't matter, but if it's just supposed to look cool, then it should be seated properly so it looks cool.
After about 5 minutes of rambling, the conclusion effectively was, lol, it still sucks though. Linus then, after publicly humiliating and trashing the work of two guys just getting their start in business while relying on zero effort to examine the thing correctly, complains about how he'd have to spend $100 to $500 more on an employee's time to test it properly.
But I'm not... I don't know, guys. I'm not sure if I can apologize for not spending another 100, 200, 300, 500.
Then apologize for publishing a fucked video that you knew was fucked. There is a solution. There is a solution to this, though, where he could make some money off the video. Bite the bullet and upload it initially as a review disaster we messed up video. Retitle it, add like a short intro explaining that you fucked up. Get the ad revenue. True, more work, don't have time for that next video. True.
Making matters worse, in conversations with Billet Labs, Gamers Nexus learned that the company asked for the prototype back on June 28th. This would allow them to send it out to other media or use it for further development. Linus Media Group agreed at least twice to return the product. The first time they agreed to send it back was June 30th. At LTX, Linus Media Group put the one-of-a-kind water block up for auction at its Extra Life auction event, without the permission of Billet Labs. Billet did not learn of this until around August 11th, at which point it was told the block is gone. Again, this is despite LMG agreeing in late June to send it back, as LMG would have no further use for the block. Billet told us that it is now stalled, as it no longer has its best prototype available for continued development. It's also missing one of its GPUs. We voiced to Billet a concern of a potential competitor, many of whom were at LTX where it was auctioned, potentially getting a hold of the block to send it off to be cloned. Whether or not this happened is irrelevant. The point is that there's a responsibility that was ignored. The question that you have to ask as a reviewer is, am I being fair when making this type of commentary?
It's a little bit further than am I being fair? Unless you're talking about yourself. They sent them their best prototype. They went, nah, fuck your prototype. It's supposed to go on a 3090. I'm putting it on a 4090. They fucked around, just goofed around, shit on it because it didn't work because they fucking did it wrong. And then when they were supposed to give it back, they fucking sold it! I'm sorry, Linus. You auctioned it off. Okay, not sold. Okay.
And this is particularly important for anyone marketing the future of their business's success on the back of objectivity, fairness, data-driven reviews. Another example of this just popped up recently as we were finishing this video. In the short circuit video where Linus Media Group reviewed a mouse in...
Yo, this mouse, can I just say, this mouse is done dirty in this review, but that mouse wants to be Final Mouse so bad. It wants to be a Final Mouse so bad.
They're not a review. The company made strong criticisms of the friction of the mouse in the video.
This is not a smooth mouse, and that's really disappointing, especially on like a premium gaming mouse. That should be one of the primary focuses.
Pwnage then contacted LMG to notify them that LMG had not removed the protective film from the feet of the mouse. Linus noted in the WAN show that the short circuit team then posted a pinned comment saying that, in fact, there weren't any stickers on the mouse at the time of testing, and that they stood by their commentary of the product.
The bigger issue here is that our initial...
They tested a mouse with the protective sticker on the mouse feet and then kept bitching about it having, oh, it's weirdly high friction, guys. Why is the friction so high? And they didn't even like just go, huh?
Correction, which was posted, said, hey, no, it, is high friction, and we did test it, and there were no films on the feet.
I saw all the raw footage from the shoot, and it does appear that the protective plastic film was still on the feet when David gave his initial impressions. We retired it. Oh, we retried it after the fact, and their PTFE feet do glide nicely. Cut out the comments about the glide issues. Let's not misrepresent the mouse.
To hurt their video performance. People continued to see the original until it processed. That can take a day or two.
Yeah, he doubled down and then they extra checked.
They're willing to throw Pwnage under the bus one last time by providing feedback that the stickers should be more obvious. For an end user, maybe, but an end user doesn't get paid to test a product, whether or not it's branded as a review. All of this is...
Yeah, that should have been a point in the review. That review should have gone like, man, at first, they could have even had a bit where they're like, at first I thought this mouse was terrible. It had so much friction. And then I noticed, oh, there were no tabs. There were little protective covers, but there are no tabs. So make sure if you get this, you peel them off. And they should probably make it clearer that you need to do that. That would have been a good point for the review, not in a correction.
They like to brand their short circuit stuff as unboxings, or in other words, not reviews. But it's disingenuous to hide behind that whenever there's a mistake. This magnitude of error is what the mouse, or in the case of the water block,
and the
block is marketed on, which is either glide or thermals. And to screw the strongest marketing point through such an egregious error as not taking the tape off of the product and still leaving the video up, even while processing a cut, is callous to the impact that those choices have on these companies. Linus Media Group is massive. That has to be treated responsibly. There are correct actions. It should...
I love that he keeps popping the 100 mil up. That's so good. Just do it again.
Result in some sort of immediate trigger, like a removal of the video with a follow-up saying, we did it again, here's the new result. What's even more disturbing, though, is the community response every time someone has a criticism that's valid. Like when the community beat down Hardware Unboxed for voicing their concerns of LTT's testing accuracies issues, which, while not completely tactful, yes, were valid. Then you look at the recent comments, though, like this, quote, if a professional mouse reviewer couldn't figure it out, what makes you think the average consumer will find the plastic wrapper cover?
Shut
quote,
the fuck
Short Circuit isn't a
up.
review channel. It's an unboxing and first impressions channel with some labs testing. The conclusion was just David's opinion. He had more issues with the mouse than just the feet. Quote, and if your product can be unboxed by a tech reviewer who does this for a living, and that reviewer doesn't even realize there's packaging that needs to be removed before use,
oh my
that's
fucking
bad
God.
user experience design of the product that should be called out as a negative. Yeah.
If a politician promised that if I voted for them, they would release murder buzzsaw drones that would kill anyone who had ever posted on the Linus Tech Tips subreddit, I would immediately vote for them.
We're not going to try and pretty it up. It is unfair. It's unfair to consumers who get misled to bad purchases or not understanding the product. It's unfair to companies when there are major points that are erroneous and aren't properly addressed or handled. And it's unfair to other reviewers who actually are willing to invest the time and, yes, even $100 or $500 or whatever it takes.
You think I can spend like $800 more on this video? Copper's not going to strip itself, brothers. How much copper is even in a 3090? Disgusting.
They are prioritizing publishing on a fixed schedule,
That's why they call him the Copperhead.
which they have
Well, we've already seen that he's quite the snake.
self-imposed. Linus Tech Tips and
He's called Linus because his parents knew he'd be a lying anus.
having deep and high-level corporate connections in companies and going easy on manufacturers while
summary.
then briefly after taking their money for a corporate title sponsorship of a major convention, investing in laptop companies and covering their own products alongside competitors. These are actions that to us raise serious concerns about the objective.
He planted the MK Ultra like kill words in us, and now he's repeating them. He cast Witch Bolt on us, and now he's redoing the damage over and over again.
The fun Linus personality in front of all of it doesn't make it simply okay to do these things, to publish bad data so regularly and knowingly in some cases, like with the block, and not take the time to do it properly.
Circle. You've seen these other videos. I was going insane in the first couple minutes of this, talking about how he actually said something and had a relevant clip. Do you know how long it's been since I've seen someone say something and show a clip that actually supports what they said? It's been, I don't know, it's been 65 years.
The data matters, the consumer matters, the perspective of the consumer also matters now, viewing this company as a sort of reforged, not just entertainment company, and the truth matters. We think there's an eagerness in the less experienced employees coupled with a lack of disciplined and experienced management to steer them in the right direction and check for mistakes. So some of this is
It looked like all those employees wanted more time.
fine if you are just an entertainer. But if you start marketing your business on accuracy and data and objectivity.
Look, totally irrelevant video, like surfing in the surfing backwards. CS surfing in the background is fine.
Like those of us who've occupied the space since the website days, then we should all be held to the same standards. We should all play by the same rules and audience scrutiny and criticisms. And likewise, we as reviewers have to hold ourselves accountable to the same standards because, again, it protects all of us from manufacturers being like, these guys don't do anything useful. So that's kind of it. This is my thoughts on this. And
does he mean they decide not to send samples, or what does he mean?
I want to get back to testing stuff, but it was important to us, and I hope that people listened before they jumped to the OMG drama lol comments. But that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next.
All right, that was pretty solid. That was pretty damn good. Linus has responded. Let me check if it's worth looking at the response on its own. If the response to the response is step by step, you could just read it. Yeah, but we've got the response to the response. We've got the response to the response. New background. Yeah, I'll read it real quick, but also I need to post this. What the fuck? Found Linus in my attic, stripping all my wires for copper. Okay. Where's the fuck? No, I don't think that works as a background. It's too busy, but I do love the picture. Ah, here's the link. This is the response to the video we just watched. This is Linus's response to the Gamers Nexus video. There won't be a big WAN show segment about this or anything. Most of what I have to say I've already said, and I've done so privately. I don't think that's really appropriate. It really should be publicly, in my opinion, given the nature of what was brought up. To Steve, I expressed my disappointment that he didn't go through proper journalistic practices in creating this piece. He has my email and number, along with numerous other members of our team, and could have asked me for context that may have proven to be valuable, like the fact that we didn't quote-unquote sell the monoblock, but rather auctioned it for charity due to a miscommunication. Is Linus out of his fucking mind? And the fact that while we haven't sent payment yet, we've already agreed to compensate Billet Labs for the cost of their prototype. So, there are other issues, but I've told him, he needs to understand if he doesn't, that their credibility and competence are being heavily attacked. Having made the mistake in the first place damages that, even if you fix it, considering how egregious it is of an error, and added to everything else. There are other issues, but I've told him that I won't be drawn into a public sniping match over this, and that I'll be continuing to move forward in good faith, because I don't have time to talk. We need to pump out more videos. I'll be continuing to move forward in good faith as part of Team Media. If he's ready to do so again, I'll be ready. You won't be able to see Linus without thinking of lying anus. The Linus, the anus of lie. The anus of lies. To my team. And my CEO's team. But realistically, I was at the helm for all of these errors, so I need to own it. I stress the importance of diligence in our work, because there are so many eyes on us. Yeah, but if you're... Wait, there's a clip of you saying we're not going to do it right because that costs money. There's a clip of you saying we weren't going to do that right because it's too much money. Also, it doesn't matter how much. If you just squeeze the fucking life out of your employees to like go as fast as you fucking can, and then your method of making sure everything's right is to tell them and do it correctly. Nah. We are going through some growing pains. We've been very public about them in the interest of transparency, and it's clear we have some work to do on internal processes and communication. We have already been doing a lot of work internally to clean up our processes, but these things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day, but that's no excuse for sloppiness. And what the hell is the point of this whole paragraph? Now, for my community, all I can say is the same things I always say. We know that we're not perfect. We wear our imperfection on our sleeves in the interest of ensuring that we stay accountable to you. We wear our imperfections so we stay accountable. Does that make sense? If you wear it on your sleeve and it doesn't change, you're just sort of rubbing it in your audience's face. That's not enabling them to keep you accountable. That's going, yeah, we don't care if you know. But it's sad and unfortunate when this transparency gets warped into a bad thing. It's not you sharing it that's the bad thing. What the fuck? The labs team is hard at work, creating processes and tools to generate data that will benefit all consumers. A work in progress that is very much not done, and that we've communicated needs to be treated as such. Do we have notes under some videos? Yes. Is it because we are striving for transparency/improvement? Yeah. The criticism is that those notes would have to be added. The notes that Games Nexus talked about would have to be added before upload. You're being transparent about something that never should have happened. What? I don't understand. Does he genuinely not understand the criticism? What we're doing hasn't been in many years, if ever. And we would make a much larger correction if the circumstances merited it. The circumstances are that you want to push things out and don't want to spend even a second to correct things in a better way. He didn't watch it. He absolutely didn't watch this. Hold on, let me find where I was. Listing the wrong amount of cash on a table for a CPU review is sloppy, but given that our conclusions are drawn based on our testing, not the spec sheet, it doesn't materially change the recommendation. Bro, this is such fucking cope. That doesn't mean these things don't matter. Yeah, no shit. We've set KPIs for our writing/labs team around accuracy, and we are continually installing new checks and balances to ensure that things continue to get better. We've set key performance indicators while still expecting them to pump this shit out at lightning speed. If you haven't seen the improvement, frankly, I wonder if you're really looking for it. The thoroughness that we managed on our last handful of GPU videos is getting really incredible given the limited time we have for these embargoes. It's incredible given the limited time. So there's still a qualifier, bro, even in you talking about your own stuff and the new stuff. And yes, Gamers Nexus made sure it was all within the last year. I'm really excited about what the future will hold. With all of that said, I still disagree that the Billet Labs video, not the situation with the return which I've already addressed above, is an accuracy issue. It's more like I just read the room wrong. We could have retested it with perfect accuracy. Perfect accuracy. It was good enough to just use it on a non-compatible card, okay? And to have clips of me fucking up. Not that the clips are what matters. What matters is that he did it, but we know he fucked it up because of the clips. But to do so properly, accounting for which cases it could be installed in, none, and which radiators it will be plumbed with, again, mystery, would have been impossible. Just put it on a... Am I insane? Put it on a 3090. Am I crazy? Also, it didn't affect the conclusion of the video. Or so I thought. Am I out of my mind that he stuck it on a 4090 when they were like, it works on a 3090? The problem wasn't the... By case, does he mean case for a PC? I wanted to evaluate it as a product. And as a product, if it could manage to compete with the temperatures of the highest end blocks on the planet, it still wouldn't make sense to buy. So from my point of view, retesting it and finding out that yes, it did in fact run cooler made no difference to the conclusion, so it didn't really make a difference. Okay, why did you make the video to begin with then? Why did you test it to begin with? This is pure copium. Pure copium damage control. Adam and I were talking about this today. He advocated for retesting it regardless of how non-viable it was as a product at the time, and I think he expressed really well today why it mattered. It was like making a video about a supercar. It doesn't matter if no one watching will buy it. They just want to see it rip. They also don't want to be fucked with, in terms of being misled about things. Just maybe. I missed that, but it wasn't because I didn't care about the consumer. It was because I was so focused on how this product impacted a potential buyer.
Make your dreams come true!
True. Either way, clearly my bad, but my intention was never to harm Billet Labs. Doesn't really matter. Negligence is a thing, dog. I specifically called out their incredible machining skills because I wanted to see them create something with a viable market for it. I was hoping others would appreciate the fineness of the craftsmanship, even if the product was impractical. I still hope they move forward building something else because they obviously have talent, and I've watched countless niche water cooling vendors come and go. It's an astonishingly unforgiving market. Doesn't that amplify the potential for damage he did with his actions? Why would he say that? Is this him trying to preempt them failing miserably and trying to like be? It's not. We always say it. We always know it's an astonishingly unforgiving market. I had no impact. It's just an unforgiving market. Either way, I'm sorry I got the community's priorities mixed up on this one, and that we didn't show the billet in the best light. Our intention wasn't to hurt anyone. We wanted no one to buy it, because it's an egregious waste of money no matter what temps it runs at, and we wanted Billet to make something marketable so they can, eat. With all this in mind, it saddens me how quickly the pitchforks were raised over this. Bro. That's the line I was talking about earlier. It saddens me how upset you got. It also comes across a touch hypocritical when some basic due diligence could have helped clarify much of it. Bro, nothing you said clarified it or made it sound better. No, if Gamers Nexus had included what you said here, it wouldn't have changed anything. In fact, the key point here about why you say you didn't need to, Gamers Nexus included this. He didn't not include it. The detail on the auction, because I remember clearly Gamers Nexus said they auctioned it. Maybe he didn't say for charity. But I don't think that's not a lie by omission sort of thing, because that genuinely doesn't matter. Whereas getting the tests accurate does. I have a long history of meeting issues head on, says the man who likes to skulk in the shadows and respond to public statements privately. Okay. Yeah. Sure, I've never been afraid to answer questions, which lands me in hot water regularly, but helps keep me in tune with my peers and with the community. The only reason I can think of not to ask me is because my honest response might be inconvenient. Why would... Does he think anything here fucks up the Gamers Nexus video? Does he believe that anything here... Yeah, is this the dishonest response? Because it doesn't do anything to what Gamers Nexus said. We can test that with this post. Will the "it was a mistake, a bad one, but a mistake, and they're taking care of it" reality manage to have the same reach? What the fuck do you mean? They didn't include the "oh, and they're fixing it" part because it's not relevant. It's a video focusing on your competence and your credibility. It was one mistake among what? How many? Dozens? Was there a couple dozen mistakes in there? It was one mistake among many, all curated from 1 year. If there was only one mistake to point at, one bad decision, one fuck up, and it was this thing, then maybe this would make sense. But the point is the gigantic stack of fuck ups. If this was on its own, maybe it would make sense that he should say, oh, but they're fixing it. But when it's just one more in the pile, no. Not really. It doesn't really matter to me. That's not pertinent information to me. That's important to you to make you feel better. But all I need to know is how much you fuck up and how often. Yeah, now I'm not going to trust any Linus Tech Tips videos as a casual consumer. No, I'm staying away from that shit. Let's see if anyone actually wants to know what happened. I hope so, but it's been disheartening seeing how many people were willing to jump on us here. Believe it or not, I'm a real person, and so is the rest of my team. We are trying our best, and if what we were doing was easy, everyone would do it. Today sucks. Thanks for reading. Fucking baby. Jesus Christ. Alright. And Gamers Nexus has responded. Look, his work is very private. He has a very private profession of publishing fucking videos to millions. Any issues with those videos that are published to millions need to be kept very quiet and, behind closed doors and dealt with confidentially. Confidentially.
Linus hastily posted a statement about 3.5 hours after our video went live. The video raised concerns again about an incredibly large amount of testing inaccuracy issues, alongside what we believe to be unethical actions and just issues with responsibility as a large outlet in general. Linus's statement, it is an unhinged, unapologetic rant where he...
Gloves off. The gloves... To be clear, the previous video was gloves on. He had a knife. Gamers Nexus had a knife and was stabbing Linus, but he was also wearing gloves. This video is gloves off and he's slapping. That's my take from it already.
He shirks responsibility and blames others. He tries to play weird semantic games like saying, quote, we didn't sell the product, we auctioned it. Or misrepresent the timeline for when he contacted Billet Labs. He triples down on Billet Labs and says, quote, I still disagree that the Billet Labs video is an accuracy issue. It's more like, I just read the room wrong. That doesn't even make any sense. It's not the job of a reviewer to read the room and tell the room what it wants to hear. That is called a
sycophant.
A sycophant is a perfect word to describe it.
He also said, quote, we could have retested it with perfect accuracy.
I even made sure I had 2 different Firefoxes so this wouldn't happen, and then I had it happen. Oh no, Gamers Nexus is going to cancel me for being an incompetent streamer.
Of a reviewer to read the room and tell the room, but to do so properly, accounting for which cases it could be installed.
Sorry.
I mean, we could
Let
have
me jump back one more time. I'm sorry.
The room. We could have retested it with perfect accuracy, but to do so properly, accounting for which cases it could be installed in, none, and which radiators it would be plumbed with, again, a mystery, would have been impossible. And also didn't affect the conclusion of the video, or so I thought. To be clear here, the random caps lock is not us. That's the original emphasis. I mean, we could have
he's not kicking him when he's down. He's shitting into Linus's mouth while he's unconscious on the floor.
Let's start with Billet. This is where the story is getting a little bit twisted. We saw some comments about this confirming our concerns that people would lose track of the actual timeline. First of all, we're not going to argue the semantics about an item being sold against the will of a company versus being auctioned and being for charity, which we already said doesn't make that better. It makes it worse because now you're roping in an innocent third party into the very awkward situation that can potentially make them look bad by proxy. And secondly,
True. Linus, you dumb fuck. Quit. Just leave, Linus. Just leave. Just let Gamers Nexus eat your flesh. He's earned it.
This is actually what we said. The first time they agreed to send it back was June 30th. At LTX, Linus Media Group put the one-of-a-kind water block up for auction at its Extra Life auction event. More seriously, Linus's statement, which reads, quote, we have already agreed to compensate Billet Labs for the cost of their prototype, uses specific language to imply that this was agreed upon prior to our video launching. Following this...
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. No fucking way.
This forum post from Linus, we reached out to Billet Labs, with whom we'd already had contact, and we asked them the following. We said Linus's comment doesn't expressly say it, but it seems to imply that this agreement was made previously. Billet Labs said no, absolutely not, no, no, no. The only mention of any money to do with the prototype was our response to them after they said they'd auctioned it. And we basically said, you know, that was an expensive prototype. They didn't want us to share the exact dollar amount. Billet continued to explain their email. They said, quote, I said, do you plan to reimburse us for this? And we heard nothing. We didn't get a response until your video. And Billet thanked us.
Fuck. Oh! Linus is retarded. Linus said you should have reached out and learned that we already agreed to pay them back. And now Gamers Nexus has in writing that they only agreed that with the Billet people after the video, so it doesn't even make sense that if he'd reached out to Linus, Linus couldn't have said that because it didn't fucking happen. Why would you lie when you know it's not true? Holy shit. Yeah, I think Linus is a bad person. I think it goes beyond just incompetence, embarrassment, and trying to cover up your mistakes. It goes beyond that, I think. That kind of lie as part of an attack, especially, like actual just... Yeah, it's a malicious attack. Yeah. And knowingly false. The fucking Linus photo. Dude, I can't handle it. It's too good. Oh, it's too good. I keep looking at it. Oh. Quick, email him before... guys, I need to quickly email him before he auctions it for charity. This cycle continues. This one's pretty good. Oh.
We asked Billet when it had received that email from Linus, and they noted it arrived about 2 to 3 hours after we published our video, which would have been around the same time that Linus posted the comment on the forums. So he wrote that email and he posted and then said they've already come to an agreement. But at the time he posted it, Billet hadn't responded to the email. And just for the record, we have the timeline of events, so I vetted them. And Linus Media Group did, in fact, agree to send the block back on June 30th, and they agreed again later, and then they followed up to tell Billet that they would have a tracking number soon, and then...
Oh, it went as far as we'll have a tracking number soon, and it was multiple confirmations that they'd send it back. This makes it so much worse. Bro, Linus dropped the, yeah, you better correct the record. Gamers Nexus said, challenge accepted. Yeah, we didn't include enough. We didn't stab you enough or shit in the holes we made with the knife enough.
I want to be very clear. We don't have to reach out to corporations prior to reporting on them, period. For big corporations, we don't reach out if the issue already harms consumers or if their view is irrelevant. The Walmart PC, the Alienware PC, any number of products we buy, we don't need to reach out because the damage is being done actively. And we don't need Linus's input or permission to make that video. LMG's videos are already affecting millions of consumers, and they have objective errors.
Someone get a fucking lighter? I don't know where a lighter is. I need to, like, wave it around for this section or something.
That we covered objectively, and they involved serious ethical concerns, which we raised. And rather than addressing those, he's choosing to try and distract viewers by whining about us, not allowing him to comment first. And they've already commented anyway. They did it in all of these various WAN shows. We know what their comment is. He then talks about being real people and said, quote, today sucks.
He then talked, what a good... This guy isn't just being... This guy knows his delivery's good. This isn't just how... He knows it's good. He then talks about being a real person, and that's good. That's smooth.
Guys, I'm not going to mince words to protect my reputation amongst sort of the
verbal manslaughter. So good.
About LTT supporters, and that's gaslighting. That's what it is. Like this
That's
devout LTT supporters, and that's gaslighting. That's what it is. Like this, we're the victims. Feel bad for us. That's what that is. So it's not.
not what gaslighting is. Minus 1 point. But at least he didn't. At least he didn't say this is Darvo.
Look, we had data points in there that were completely ignored. They weren't mentioned at all in any of this. We talked about serious testing issues. We talked about methodological issues. We talked about lack of process. We talked about lack of QC. We talked about the fact that people can look at numbers that are 300%
Lack of QC is good though, because Quake Champions is fucking shit.
off in some cases, or in the cases of coolers, are just literally incorrect because it was backwards or installed improperly, and how they can get past people. None of that was addressed. There's an odd note in the statement about using their notes against them, like as if we're weaponizing their transparency or something.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear again.
That was so stupid.
Like the vast majority of the significant errors I found. They're not pinned under their videos. I found them. I went and I looked at the numbers and I compared their own numbers against their own numbers. And I found those errors, right? Like it's misrepresenting reality here, and it is choosing to.
I don't think that's what Linus was saying. I think what Linus was saying was even dumber. I think it was even dumber. It was like being transparent good, so if what I do transparent, what I do is good. Even though they're being transparent about having done the wrong thing, unrepentantly.
This was LMG's chance to take responsibility. And he's shown LMG's true colors and what he as the owner really thinks. And we're greatly disappointed at the tripling down rather than proposing future-looking solutions. At this point, we wouldn't believe them if they released a new statement to try and undo this one, because it's clear to us what the company's owners thought of these issues.
That's it. As far as I'm aware, that's all. This was just a few hours ago.